And hello everybody, you're live. It's Monday, July 28th. And it's SherryTalkRadio. If you have a question for the show, you can send a question or comment to SherryTalkRadio@yahoo.com. I'll check that periodically. You know, I sent an email out on the list today because I was out driving around today getting some things done. And I drove by this little Christian care center we have here in town, just a small town here in Ohio. And it's just a one-room tiny church that offers free bags of food and oftentimes clothes for the poor people for free. And it's usually pretty quiet and empty. But when I drove by it today, there was a line of people standing outside of it, going all the way down the street. Cars parked everywhere. Just people of all ages. And I was just shocked. I've never seen that place busy. Certainly not a line standing outside of it. And I guess what it is the last 2 Mondays of the month, they offer free bags of food to people. And so that just shows how many people are actually going hungry. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more people than what we're standing in line today. But it's a definite wake-up call that our economy is indeed just on the throes of a crash. People can't afford to eat. I know in Ohio, the food stamp program is $1 per person per meal a day. And so if you're on food stamps in Ohio, and 1 million of them are, probably higher than that, because you know the government always fudges their numbers to make things sound less than they really are. So probably more than 1 million. These people are getting $3 a day on food stamps. And what they do is they have some kind of a card they put them on. It's called a direction card, the Ohio direction card, and they can use these cards at grocery stores. And so that equals out probably to about $84 a month or something like that per person. And so you know that's probably gone within 2 weeks, especially with food prices the way they are. And so the last 2 weeks of the month, you know, they don't have any help, any food. And so it's just, I was floored. And what surprised me the most was the reaction from people that was surprised by my reaction. You know, people don't expect that kind of thing to affect me. Of course it does. Of course it does. You know, I can't imagine, you know, I've grown up in America, and to see everything going down the toilet, as we've been warning it's going to be, just because we're stood up to warn people the things were coming, you know, especially in my case, doesn't mean I like it. I don't like what's coming to America's full. You know, America is just like any other country in the world where you have the wheat and the tares, where you actually have good human people, and then you have serpent seed that control everything. And the serpent seed line, the tares, are what's controlling most of the governments today. I mean, even when it comes to the big arguments in America of do we support Israel or not, how do we support Israel, the remnant of the Lord's people, the Lord's true people that are there, without supporting the tares? Because the tares run it. And the true Christians that are living in Israel are just as persecuted in Israel, even more so, than they are in America. And so you have all these pastors who are just on this, oh, we love Israel, let's support Israel, and you're supporting a government that persecutes the believers of Yahushua in Israel. And so you really can't win in either aspect. You know, we're sending billions in aid of our tax dollars, of our money, to other countries for useless research projects. You hear about the money being spent on the most stupid things in the world, and we have people lining up in food centers in America for free food. I mean, that's just pitiful. That's pitiful. And another thing that just really rubs my goat is it's never going to get any better. It's not going to get better. You know, something we all need to prepare for. And I've warned about this on the show before, that the Lord had told me that when things start, we're going to have the bathtub effect. You know how you have a full bathtub of water, and you pull the plug and water starts to trickle out slowly. And then when you get towards the end of the tub, it just starts draining down and gushes and floods and drains very quickly. And we've been on that trickle effect for a long time, probably the past decade. We've been on the trickle effect of the water getting leaked out of the tub, and now it's going to start going down very quickly. And things are not going to return to the way they were in America. And I've warned of that. Once it starts, there's no turning back. And so the line I saw today is nothing compared to the line I'm going to see in 6 months. Every food center in America is going to have lines. Employment is not going to improve. Employment is going to get much worse. As all people don't have money to spend on luxuries and frivolous things, or paying $4 for a cup of coffee, or fast food restaurants, clothing, and it puts all those Americans out of work, because the backbone of America has always been the entrepreneurs, the small shop owners, and even the corporations now that are employing all these people that work in their fast food restaurants, their chains all across America. I mean, who can afford $15 for a pizza or $30 for two anymore, America is on its way down, and it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And I was reading an analysis of the housing market, and I've already heard from bankers that what they're stating on television and the media is not right, that home values have dropped much lower than they're announcing. And so that's why there's such a huge problem with the foreclosure market right now, because home values are much, much lower than what the media is telling you that they've dropped. And so people are walking away from being strapped in those huge loans because their homes are no longer worth it. The next thing is going to be credit card defaults. The next thing after that will be vehicles. And so we're going to see, people defaulting on credit cards, and then walking away from car loans. And a lot of these people aren't going to have transportation. So the biggest thing in America is going to be finding cars that are affordable, $500, $1,000, affordable cars that will run, because a lot of people are not going to be able to afford these high car payments they're making. And insurance companies, you see the trickle-down effect, how it just affects everybody. Auto salesmen, their families, everybody associated with the economy is going to suffer in one way or another. Construction workers, realtors, just so many millions going to be out of work by this time next year. and you wonder if you're even going to get through this year. Is this the year that things are going to really start to shake up and happen, or we're going to have to go slowly through next year, and that this is just a torturous beginning? The Lord warned us this year was going to be a bad year, and it has been so far. Started out with a bang by losing our farmlands to floods. They're getting us by the weather weapons. They're getting us by economics. The silent famine always working in the background. Another thing I want to keep warning about, that silent famine. And a lot of people who had waited online to be able to buy stuff, and warned last year, don't wait till the last minute, because stuff's going to happen. And people complaining now because the government's buying up all the freeze-dried and dehydrated foods, and it's not available for the public for another year now. You waited too long, and so get busy, hit the Walmarts, hit the dollar stores, get the canned meats, beans, rice, things that you can stock up and eat. And even do that now while you have a job, because what happens when you don't have a job? The food stamp assistance program is going to feed you about 2 weeks a month, and that's it. And that's eating macaroni and cheese and hot dogs. If you have a higher taste level for better food, it'll probably last you 1 week then, because the food stamp assistance programs across the country are just not designed to give you much luxury in that. People just have no idea how many times I've sat here and cried looking at the things coming. I'm not a superhuman being. I'm a mom of 4 kids. I've been doing this for the Lord for the last decade. And it's never been easy to see the things that are coming, and now that they're here, I do get laughs. I do get enjoyment when I see Satan suffering, when I see inroads and victories we've won against Satan and his forces. But when it comes to mankind, it's just a totally different aspect of this whole end-time charade. Something that often probably gets lost on people is we keep hearing that, millions of people are going to die to the next year, possibly a third, which would be almost 2.5 billion people dying. That's a lot of people, folks. And when you actually start to see people suffering, it really is a wake-up call to what's really coming, and how much destruction and how much suffering is going to be going on, especially when you realize that most of these people, if they're having hard times now, what are they going to do when they're really hungry and they're offering them bags of food to sell their soul, to get that chip, to get that mark of the devil?